It's 1:24 a.m. Two men dressed as cops ring the buzzer at Boston's Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. The guard inside thinks it's just a routine check. But within 81 minutes, they'll walk out with over $500 million in art, never to be seen again. No alarms, no arrests, no ransom demands. 30 years later, nothing. This is the single biggest unsolved art heist in history, and yet, no one talks about it. Until now. You're watching Creepycast, the place where true crime meets unsolved legends. If you love stories that make you question everything, hit that subscribe button, because the deeper we dig, the darker it gets. March 18th, 1990. St. Patrick's Day had just wrapped up in Boston. Streets were still buzzing with drunk students and parades winding down. But while the city slept off its hangover, two men pulled off a heist so bold, it's almost cinematic. Almost too perfect. The two suspects weren't ordinary thieves. They weren't armed with high-tech tools or military training. They wore fake mustaches, Boston police uniforms, and walked through the front door. "We got a report of a disturbance inside," they said. And the guard, Richard Abbott, let them in. Why wouldn't he? They looked like cops. But within minutes, Abbott and the second guard were duct-taped, handcuffed, and locked in the basement. No backup ever came. No radio calls made. From that moment on, the museum was theirs. What followed was a bizarre, almost ritualistic theft. They didn't go for the most valuable piece. They didn't touch the cash in the gift shop. Instead, they took 13 very specific works, like Vermeer's The Concert, one of only 34 known to exist, Rembrandt's Storm on the Sea of Galilee, and an ancient Chinese bronze. Then, they disappeared. No footage, no fingerprints, no clues. When investigators arrived hours later, what they found didn't make sense. The thieves had ripped paintings out of their frames, shattering priceless canvases. They left behind even more valuable works, like a Michelangelo drawing, untouched. And the security system? Practically useless. The museum had no motion detectors in the galleries, only sensors on doors. The cameras were outdated, and the one recording failed to capture any clear footage of the robbers. But here's where things get stranger. One of the guards, Richard Abbott, was known for being a bit of a slacker. The night before the robbery, he opened the side door for no reason, twice. A move he later claimed was routine. Suspicious, absolutely. But even more disturbing was this. The robbers spent 81 minutes inside. That's unheard of. Most heists are over in 5 to 10. These men moved slowly, confidently, as if they knew exactly how much time they had and what to take. Over the years, the FBI chased dozens of leads, mobsters, art dealers, security staff, even international smuggling rings. The main theory: this was an inside job. Several suspects emerged: David Turner and George Reisfelder, two Boston mob associates with a track record of armed robbery and drug trafficking. Reisfelder died just a year after the heist, but some believe Turner knew more than he let on. Carmine Romano, a New York mafia capo rumored to have been brokering stolen art across state lines. His name surfaced in wiretaps, but no charges ever stuck. Miles Connor, an art thief who already stole a Rembrandt from a different museum in the 70s. He claimed to know who did the Gardner heist, but used that knowledge as a bargaining chip while in prison. Still, no concrete evidence, no arrests, no ransom demands. This is what truly stumps investigators. The stolen works weren't the most valuable. In fact, some weren't even famous. Why steal only 13 pieces? Why leave the Michelangelo? Why not steal more if you had 81 minutes alone inside a museum? One theory suggests the thieves were commissioned, hired by a rich underground collector who wanted specific pieces. Another claims the paintings were used as collateral in drug deals or mob negotiations. But perhaps the creepiest theory: the paintings were never meant to be sold, only hidden. Think about it. No one's tried to move them. No black market offers, no confirmed sightings. It's as if they vanished forever. If you walk into the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum today, the empty frames still hang on the wall. They serve as eerie tombstones for the missing masterpieces. The museum refuses to replace them. Why? Because Isabella Stewart Gardner's will was very specific. Nothing in the museum can be altered, ever. If the art is gone, the frames stay. It's almost like the museum itself is frozen in time, stuck in the moment the paintings were ripped away. This haunting decision has become a symbol of loss, but also obsession. Theories that could change everything. Let's face it, nothing about this heist adds up. And over the years, researchers, journalists, even ex-FBI agents have floated wild, spine-chilling theories. But here's the terrifying part. Some of them actually make sense. Let's dive into a few of the most unsettling ones. Theory number 1. The heist was an inside job by the elite. You've heard this one before, but not like this. What if the thieves were never the two fake cops? What if that was just theater, a distraction? Some believe powerful art collectors, people with billions, not millions, orchestrated the entire thing through insiders at the museum. To them, this wasn't theft. It was acquisition. Clean, silent, permanent. They didn't want the paintings for money. They wanted to own something the world could never have again. Think about it. The guards on duty, incompetent and underpaid. Security systems, outdated and half-broken. Motion sensors, all triggered, yet no one caught. Some say the art is now hanging in secret private galleries in Dubai, Zurich, or deep in the catacombs beneath a Paris estate. Places where billionaires toast champagne in front of masterpieces no one else will ever see again. And if you think that's crazy, wait for this next one. Theory number 2. The art never left the museum. Yes, some investigators actually believe the stolen art is still inside the museum, hidden behind false walls, under floorboards, or even within the art itself. Why? Because the timing of the theft is too perfect. That night, the museum's insurance policy had just expired. A renewal was scheduled, but paperwork delays left a 24-hour gap. And guess when the thieves struck? Right inside that 24-hour window. Coincidence? Some theorists believe Isabella Stewart Gardner herself, the woman who founded the museum, hid secrets in the paintings, messages, maps, codes, and someone wanted them silenced forever. The solution: steal the paintings, but never remove them from the grounds. Theory number 3. The Vatican. Knew this one goes deep. One of the stolen works, the concert by Vermeer, was said to contain iconography that contradicted religious doctrine. Multiple art historians claimed the painting's background scene mirrored an early version of the Book of Revelation, one that was struck from the canon centuries ago. Why would that matter? Because if true, it would prove parts of religious history were rewritten, and some say certain powerful forces connected to both religion and politics had a motive to make it disappear. Some even claim the painting was quietly retrieved, not stolen, and is now locked away in a Vatican archive, alongside the Codex Vaticanus and the Third Secret of Fatima. Theory number 4. The occult connection. This is the darkest one. Several of the stolen paintings feature scenes of violence, chaos, and death. Critics have argued these works were chosen for a reason: symbolism. The storm on the Sea of Galilee, a man defying nature. The concert, forbidden music, once banned by the church. Chez Tortoni, a portrait that vanishes without a trace. Art is powerful. It stirs emotion, and some believe these pieces were stolen to be used in rituals as part of an elite occult society that believes in absorbing the energy of tragic art. Sounds insane? Possibly. But years after the heist, fragments of a frame from one of the stolen paintings were found in a Massachusetts mansion used for secret society meetings in the early 1900s. Coincidence? Or breadcrumb? Here's what we know for sure. The FBI says the case is active, but hasn't given a real update in over a decade. The museum still leaves empty frames hanging on the walls, as if waiting, and people involved in the case keep turning up dead, silent, or missing. After more than 3 decades of silence, whispers, and dead ends, the FBI claims they've solved the greatest art heist in American history. But here's the catch. They're not naming names. No mugshots. No press conference parading handcuffed thieves. Just a vague assurance that the case is closed. And yet, the art is still missing. 13 masterpieces. Rembrandt, Vermeer, Manet, Degas, gone for over 30 years. Not one canvas recovered, not one brushstroke brought home. The empty frames still hang on the walls of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, like open graves for lost genius. A quiet, haunting reminder of what was taken and how easily it was done. The FBI's narrative. According to the Bureau, 2 men posing as Boston police officers entered the museum just after midnight on March 18th, 1990. They claimed to be responding to a disturbance. The guards let them in. Within 81 minutes, the criminals had ransacked the museum and vanished into the night with $500 million worth of artwork. The feds now say the men were part of a crime syndicate operating out of New England and the Mid-Atlantic. The art, they believe, was moved through Connecticut and Pennsylvania, even offered for sale in Philadelphia about a decade ago, before disappearing once again into the shadows. But here's where it gets even murkier. The suspects might be dead, or in prison on unrelated charges, or still walking free. They won't say, because naming names could interfere with the investigation. So let's get this straight. The FBI solved the crime, but has no art, no arrests, and no answers. This isn't a conclusion. It's a curtain of silence over a stage full of ghosts. The $5 million clue. Here's where you come in. There's still a $5 million reward on the table, and authorities believe someone, maybe someone completely innocent, has seen the art, not knowing what it was, not knowing what it's worth, not knowing what it means. That's why the FBI launched a new campaign to bring the stolen art back into the light. But if history has taught us anything, it's this. Truth doesn't just rise on its own. It has to be uncovered. If you're watching this, it means you care. You're the type of person who doesn't let mysteries fade. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one to see what others miss. So here's what you do next. Subscribe to Creepycast for more real-world mysteries that sound stranger than fiction. Comment your theory below. Was this a mob job, a government cover-up, or something darker? Share this video with someone who needs to see it, because the truth is still out there. And until the final painting is found, this story isn't over. Creepy Talk out.